Hi, Ghost of Tsushima! The highly anticipated console game has made its way onto PC, releasing today! Not early access, but completely finished and ready to go. The player assumes the role of Jin Sakai and goes about on his journey to save Japan from the evil Mongols. Now this is a open world action adventure game, very similar to things like Elden Ring and the Dark Souls series. Now first off, this is a PC port, so the original came out on console, and this is a very good PC port. This is a great PC version with very few bugs whatsoever. It runs smooth, it looks smooth, it has all the settings you could ever want. This is not some cheaply rushed out port, this is a high quality version, keep that in mind. However, the biggest issue is of course all of the audio. The game doesn't have a master volume slider, so you have to adjust each volume setting differently, and they're all at completely different levels. So if you just want to have a nice sound overall at the same volume, you have to have sound effects on a 3, you have to have music on a 7, and then you have to have other special sound effects on an 8 or a 9. And it would have been awesome if they just had a simple master volume slider, just like every other PC game out there. But anyway, how is the gameplay itself? So you're in this huge, sprawling, open world, you're going out there, you've got a horse, there's towns, there's questing, there's side quests, there's unlockables, there's collectibles, there's your main storyline, saving Japan, and you do that with your katana and a bow. You are a samurai in this game. Now this is one of the more higher quality console games. Unlike the other titles like Elden Ring, which are kind of very cheaply, poorly made, this is high quality all around and showcases just how good a console game can really be. The open world is huge. There are plenty of majestic, cinematic, picturesque locations to visit that are awe-inspiring and jaw-dropping. And that's where the good stuff ends. There are so many things wrong in this game, and it is just such outdated game design. Literally, the lead game designer here, the executive game designer, the creative director, whoever it was, he still thinks it's 1985, 1995, and designing games in that style, that's how outdated the gameplay is in this one. So let's talk the combat. So this is a console game and it was made with controllers in mind. As with controllers, they like to do a variety of combo button presses, hold this, press that to do something, and that doesn't translate too well over to PC. As your poorly designed dodge mechanic may be okay on consoles, but when it comes to PC, it's just stupid and annoying. We have an entire keyboard with many different buttons. We don't need to do some stupid button pressing combo. Just do a dedicated key. Next is the combat itself. Much like Elden Ring and much like all of the other Dark Souls games, high skill is not required here to succeed. It's about memorizing the pattern, learning the rhythm, and then playing to that. There is no high skill gameplay here. It's as simple as, did you press this button at the right time? Did you do this combo? Did you do the choreography right? Did you defeat all the opponents in the way the game wants you to, which is completely inorganic, completely unrealistic, and completely fake? No thinking here, no skill required here. Just do the thing in the patterns, memorize the rhythms, and just do that and you will succeed. Incredibly boring. Now the game does feature a huge, vast, sprawling open world that you can completely explore. However, the huge downside is that it's not designed properly and it feels completely fake and artificial. The valleys and the cliffs and the mountainsides and the vast forests and the ranges and all that sort of thing, they just all feel synthetic. They don't feel realistic at all. And although there are some very attractive, some very nice looking areas and scenery and things to look at, it completely breaks the immersion when they're just so poorly designed and so artificial. Sure, it looks like a forest, but it doesn't really behave and feel like a forest, just the way the terrain is set up and the tree placement. Everything just feels like you're in a video game, like it's a completely unrealistic video game version of it. But you might be thinking, hey, this is a video game, but all the quality games, all the good ones that do great immersion, they all base it on realistic scenarios. But not Ghost of Tsushima. You are in make-believe video game land, and the game lets you know that all the time. Now the game world is big, but it is absolutely too big because it's not designed properly. It's as if they designed the map and then someone down there said, hey, let's just make it 3 times as big, bigger is better, so they just put a 3x on everything and then pushed it out. And again, it's just inefficient, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't flow right, it just feels completely fake and artificial. And this applies to your hub towns, enemy bases, placement of merchants, NPCs. The maps, the locations, the areas are just way too big and they're not populated properly. And there is a lot of dead space and the game just feels incredibly empty. Again, this completely breaks the immersion because there's nothing even remotely realistic about it and you just feel like you're in a video game, you're being played, you're being trolled, and it just doesn't feel realistic at all. Now let's talk about the unlockables and collectibles. There are a shit ton of different skills, techniques, weapon perks, stance perks, items, upgrades that you can unlock. There are so many and they are all boring and annoying and they're all basic. We're talking Assassin's Creed level, Far Cry level, completely boring, redundant, monotonous unlocks. And you're essentially just doing checklist to checklist. Then there are of course in-game collectibles. Not only are there resources that you can salvage, you can quote unquote mine, flowers, branches, that sort of thing that you can use for in-game crafting, but there are collectibles, shit tons of different collectibles, absolutely boring, annoyable collectibles. Collect 50 banners, collect 80 shrines, collect 90 horseshoes. You know, those sorts of dumb, boring, pointless, annoying collectibles. Once again, it's Assassin's Creed, it's Far Cry level. Yes, this game has all that crap shoved in there. And again, it's just so boring and just more pointless busy work to do. Pointless content. Then there's the story and the pacing of the story. God damn, does it go slow. I don't think there's another game out there that has a story that goes as slow as this. It feels like you're being trolled. It's like there's a joke going on, it's at your expense. Why can't anybody simply find the point and then get to it? Why is everything so goddamn slow? The story just crawls along an absolute snail's pace along with all the NPCs, and they talk and they move and everything is just so goddamn slow. There's no action, there's no excitement, there's nothing to pull you in. It's just boring people just rambling on. It's just so fucking slow and boring, just like the game world. Everybody talks like this and the story goes like this and the game world goes like this and the map moves like this. And the big reoccurring theme throughout everything in this game is that it's just completely slow and fucking boring. And as this is a console game, there are lovely quick time events, push a button to interact with this scene. You know that stupid crap where it's push X to squeeze through a hole in the wall, push X to crawl under a building, push X to interact with this vibe on screen. Those stupid console interactable things to kind of wake you up from the boring gameplay. Those are absolutely thrown in there as well. There are tons of those. There's nothing realistic here. There's no flow. There's absolutely nothing at all. It's press button to play game if you're still awake. Now the game has got quite a few nifty little gimmicks thrown in there. One is the showdown mechanic, and this pops up whenever you approach a brand new encounter, a mob of enemies, a city, a town, guards, what have you. You get to do a showdown, basically like a Western Mexican standoff type deal where you have to hold down a button because it's a console game and then release it at the right time to take down the enemies. Now this is of course cool and fun the first time that you do it, but the game throws it at you all the time. And this fun, cool little gimmick just gets completely annoying because I don't care. Just let me play. Don't make me do another stupid showdown. They're annoying. They're dumb. There's no skill here. There's no challenge. It's just hold and release a button. And again, it's just more of that console crap shoveled over into the PC version. And it's not fun. And of course, the game engine, the game world has a few hilarious bugs if you don't play the game as it was intended. intended. You don't follow the patterns, follow the rhythm. You can get some really funny bugs happening. Not game breaking, not game crashing, but just movement related, and it looks really dumb and goofy. Overall, this game is just weird. It's as if the game's a simulator, but for a completely unrealistic world that few people understand. Maybe even an anime type simulator, I guess you could call it, as it definitely isn't simulating a reality, but it is simulating some kind of a reality. And being as this is Japanese, this is essentially just an anime simulator. Most gamers will just simply find this title slow, boring, pretentious, annoying, and just unrealistic, and also not very fun. And for the few players out there that are completely detached from reality, they may actually enjoy this game. This is the sort of game that you play when you just have way too much free time, and you are just so detached from reality. You don't interact with the world, you don't interact with people, you live in anime land. This is for you. So basically, if you're a normal person, close to normal, that sort of thing, you play Western games, you will not enjoy this. But if you are one of those anime people, hardcore into the anime, completely detached from society and reality, and you live in some crazy little bubble, you may actually enjoy this title. So most people absolutely hate this game and it isn't worth getting, but once again, if you're one of those weirdos in those bubbles, this is probably for you and you have already bought it.